what you cannot hide. This is widely known. Tell me, what do you do with your foolish pride when you're by yourself alone? Once you tell someone the way that you feel, you can feel it beginning to ease. I think it's true what they say about the squeaky wheel, always getting the grease. So shower the people you love with love, show them the way you feel. Things are gonna be just fine if you only will. And shower the people you love with love, show them the way you feel. Things are gonna get much better if you only will. Shower the people you love with love, show them the way you feel. Things are gonna be just fine if you only will.
Good evening. Shabbat Shalom. So the rabbi is not here tonight, so I will be trying to MC the service, and we're fortunate that Yehuda is going to join us, and so this really is going to be a guitar Shabbat. He's not on site. Somebody in his family had COVID, and so he's at home, but through the miracle of Zoom, we will be in touch with him and he will be singing for us. So we're going to start with Ma Tovu. Now, Ma Tovu is typically said upon entering the synagogue, and it's a famous phrase uttered by Balaam. You may remember he was the prophet who was hired to curse the Jews, but instead he blessed them. And this is his phrase, which translates, "How lovely are your dwellings, Jacob, your sanctuaries, people of Israel." And here is Yehuda singing Ma Tovu, and you can find it on the top of page 101 of our Siddur.
Just fine.
Now that we've entered the synagogue, We're going to ask the angels to come join us and to bring peace. So we're going to go to page 5 in the Siddur for Shalom Aleichem.
Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharet, Malachei Elyon. Mi Melech Malachei Hamlochim HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Hoachem leShalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon. Mi Melech Malachei Hamlochim HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Baruch Hu Ni leShalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon. Melech Malachei Hamlochim HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Zeichem leShalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon. Mi Melech Malachei Hamlochim HaKadosh Baruch Hu.
Now that the angels have come and assisted us, we're going to turn to L'chu Neranena on page 11. Let us go and sing to Adonai. Let us trumpet praise to our protector.
L'chu Neranena, L'chu Neranena, la 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 la, L'chu Neranena. Ria Ria Litzu Yishenu. Nikad Mafon Al Betoda. Ria Ria Litzu Yishenu. Bismi Rodna Ria Lau. L'chu Neranena, L'chu Neranena, la 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 la, L'chu Neranena. Ria Ria Litzu Yishenu. God Mafon Al Betoda. Ria Ria Litzu Yishenu. Bismi Rodna Ria Lau. L'chu Neranena, L'chu Neranena, la 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 la, L'chu Neranena. L'chu Neranena, L'chu Neranena, la 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 la, L'chu Neranena. L'chu Neranena, L'chu Neranena.
Thank you, Yehuda. So I'd like to finish reciting this Psalm 95 in English on page 12. For Adonai is our God, and we are God's flock, sheep in God's caring hands. If only you would listen today to God's voice and not become hard-hearted like the people at Meribah, Let that time at Massa in the desert when your ancestors tried me and tested me, though they had seen what I had wrought. For 40 years I was troubled by that generation, and I said, these are a people whose hearts have gone astray. They do not know my way. So in anger I swore they would not enter my rest. We will continue on page 20 with Romamu, and for those of you who don't have the book, the translation, exalt Adonai our God and bow down at God's holy mountain, for Adonai our God is holy.
Romemu Adonai Eloheinu v'shtachavu le'ar kodsho. Romemu Adonai Eloheinu v'shtachavu le'ar kodsho. Ki kadosh Adonai Eloheinu Romemu. Ki kadosh Adonai Eloheinu Romemu. Romemu Adonai Eloheinu v'shtachavu le'ar kodsho. Romemu Adonai Eloheinu v'shtachavu le'ar kodsho. Ki kadosh Adonai Eloheinu Romemu. Ki kadosh Adonai Eloheinu Romemu. Romemu Adonai Eloheinu v'shtachavu le'ar kodsho. Romemu Adonai Eloheinu v'shtachavu le'ar kodsho.
And now we will turn to page 23 for our rousing Lecha Dodi, and we will sing the first two stanzas on page 23 and the last two stanzas on page 25.
Lecha Dodi likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha Dodi likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat nekabela. Shamor v'zachor v'dibur echad, ishmi'anu elam yuchad. Adonai echad u'shmo echad, l'shimoti v'red b'li tila. Lecha Dodi likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha Dodi likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat nekabela. Likrat Shabbat lechu v'nelcha, ki l'kor ha'bracha. Rosh mikadem nesucha, zov maaseh b'shalom atila. Lecha Dodi likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha Dodi likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat nekabela. Bo'oi v'shalom atzeret bala, gam b'simcha u'b'tzola. Toch emunei am zegula, bo'oi chala, bo'oi chala. Lecha Dodi likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha Dodi likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat nekabela.
Well, I owe you a verse. We were going to sing that the one verse from the end, but I guess it got lost in the translation. So sometime in the future, we'll do that verse. So I'd like you to turn to page 28, and we're going to recite the end of the Psalm 92 in English. Surely your enemies, Adonai, surely your enemies will perish. All who commit evil will be scattered. As a wild bull raises up its horn, you raised my head high, anointed it with fresh oil. As my enemies gather against me, my gaze remains steady. For my ears listen and hear. The righteous flourish like the date palm, thrive like a cedar in Lebanon. Planted in the house of Adonai, they flourish in our God's courtyards. In old age, they remain fruitful, still fresh and bountiful, proclaiming Adonai is upright, my rock, in whom there is no flaw. Now let's turn to page 39b for the Baruch Hu, and we rise and face the ark, or face east. Baruch Hu et Adonai hamborach. Baruch Adonai hamborach leolam vaed. May be seated, and let's continue with the first baracha before the Shema in English on page 39b. Baruch atah Adonai, our God, sovereign of time and space. You completed your work of creation on the seventh day, calling this day from one evening to the next the holy Shabbat, and gave this day of rest in all its holiness to your people Israel, creator of day and night, rolling light before darkness and darkness from light, making day pass and bringing on the evening, distinguishing day from night. Adonai Tzevaot is your name, living and ever-present God. May your rule be with us forever and ever. Baruch atah Adonai, who brings each evening's dusk. El Chai V'Kayam, Tamid Yimlok Aleinu Leolam Vaed. Baruch atah Adonai, Hamarib Arabim. Turn to page 40 for the Ahavat Olam. So we turn to Yehuda for his rendition.
Ahavas Olam, Beit Yisrael, Ahavta. All the world sings to you, the world sings to you. All the world sings to you, the world sings to you. The song of the trees when wind stirs their leaves. Song of the earth when rain soothes its thirst. The song of the sea when waves are set free. The song of the sky when hummingbirds fly. Ahavas Olam, Ahavas Olam, Beit Yisrael, Ahavta. All the world sings to you, the world sings to you. The world sings to you, the world sings to you. The song of the trees when wind stirs their leaves. The song of the earth when rain soothes its thirst. The song of the sea when waves are set free. The song of the sky when hummingbirds fly. Ahavas Olam, Ahavas Olam, Beit Yisrael, Ahavta. All the world sings to you, the world sings to you. All the world sings to you, the world sings to you.
Page 41, we will cite the Shema. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. V'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'kol levavka uv'kol nafshecha uv'kol meodecha v'hayu hadvarim ha'ela asher anochi mitzavka hayom al lebabecha v'shinantam lebanecha v'dibata bam b'shiftika b'beitecha uv'leftika b'derech uv'shofka uv'kumecha uv'shatam liot al yadecha v'hayu letotafot b'neinecha uv'tavtam al muzot beitecha u'b'sharecha. Now we'll take a minute or two to finish the Shema in silence or a meditation of your choosing. Adonai Elohechem Emet. We'll turn to page 44 for the Mi Chamocha.
Mi chamocha ba'lim Adonai, mi chamocha nedar b'kodesh, noratai lo seifele, noratai lo seifele, malchutecha ra'u banecha, okeyam lifnei Moshe, zedi anu ve'amru, Adonai melech le'lam bayed, yai da 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 da. Yai da 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 ya da 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 da. Yai da 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 ya da 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 ya da da da. Mi chamocha ba'lim Adonai, mi chamocha nedar b'kodesh, noratai lo dosei pele, noratai lo dosei pele, noratai lo dosei pele.
V'ne'emar ki pada Adonai et Yaakov ugalo miyad hazak mimenu baruch at Adonai gal Yisrael. Now page 45 for the Hashkivenu.
Hashkivenu Adonai, Eloheinu leshalom, ve'hamidenu mocheinu lechayim. Hashkivenu Adonai, Eloheinu leshalom, ve'hamidenu mocheinu lechayim. Ubo Salenu Sukkot Shlomo לחיים ושלום מעתה ועד עולם. השכיבנו אדוני אלוהינו לשלום והעמידנו מלכנו לחיים. השכיבנו אדוני אלוהינו לשלום והעמידנו מלכנו לחיים ולחיים.
Ufrosh Aleinu, Shikat Shalomecha, Baruch Atah Adonai, HaPoresh Sukat Shalom Aleinu, V'al Kol Amo Yisrael, V'al Yerushalayim. And then top of page 46, Vishamru.
ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורות ברית עולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורות ברית עולם. ובני ישראל אותי לעולם, אותי לעולם, אותי לעולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורות ברית עולם. כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני, עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורות ברית עולם. וביום השביעי שבת וינפש, שבת וינפש, שבת וינפש. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורות ברית עולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורות ברית עולם.
Yitgadal v'yikadash shemei Rabbah, v'yalma dibra kirutei, v'yamlich malkutei, b'hayechon v'yomechon ub'chaye dekol Beit Yisrael, ba'gala ub'zman kariv v'imru amen. Yehei shemei Rabbah mebarach, li'al olam almaya yitbarach. V'yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yifar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shemei dekudisha b'richu le'ela min kol b'yachata v'shirata tushbachata v'nehemata da'amiran b'yalma v'imru amen. We now rise for the Amidah, and this is your opportunity to talk privately with God. The traditional text runs from page 47 to page 52, or a selection of your meditation of your choosing. I'd like to just turn back for a second to page 51 so we can say the seventh bracha, which is the prayer for peace, together in English. I think it's so important that we keep focusing on peace and asking for it, and hopefully it will be granted. Grant abundant and lasting peace to your people Israel and all who dwell on earth, for you are the sovereign master of all the ways of peace. May it please you to bless your people Israel at all times with your gift of peace. The Kaddish Shalem on page 54. Yitkadal v'yikadash shemei Rabbah, B'alma dibra kirute v'yamlik malkute, B'chayechon yomechon ubchaye dekol Beit Yisrael, Ba'agalau bizman karib v'imru amen. Yehi shemei Rabbah mebarach, V'alam u'al me'almaya, Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yifar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh, V'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shemei dekudisha, B'richu leila min kol b'chata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nehemata, damiran b'alma v'imru amen. Titkabal v'zlohon u'hon tekol Yisrael kadam abuhon di bishmaya v'imru amen. Yehi shlama rabba min shemaya v'chayim aleinu v'yal kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom bimrumav hu yaseh shalom aleinu v'yal kol Yisrael v'imru amen. And now Yehuda will sing the Oseh Shalom for us.
Oseh Shalom bimrumav, Yaseh Shalom Leinu ve'al kol Yisrael, Imeru Amen, Imeru Amen. Oseh Shalom bimrumav, Yaseh Shalom Leinu ve'al kol Yisrael, all peace, make peace in our world. May the maker of all love give us hearts that care. Oseh Shalom, Shalom bimrumav, Yaseh Shalom Aleinu ve'al kol yoshvei tzaveh. Oseh Shalom bimrumav, Yaseh Shalom Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, Imeru Amen, Imeru Amen.
Did you know that this weekend is Tu B'Shvat? Do you know what Tu B'Shvat is? Tu B'Shvat is the new year for trees. And you ask, what do you mean new year? We've already had Rosh Hashanah. We've already had our new year. And what is this new year for trees? Well, it's curious, and I just want to explain to you what Tu B'Shvat is, because it's Sunday night and Monday. So we all know what New Year's Day is. We celebrated it just 2 weeks ago, And so New Year's Day, we know, occurs on January 1st, and that's pretty standard. But did you know that in our calendar, we have multiple New Years? For example, the school year begins in August, September timeframe. We have the fiscal year, which begins October 1st. So we actually have in our secular calendar multiple New Years. Well, the religious Jewish calendar has 4 New Years. And so we all know what Rosh Hashanah is. Rosh Hashanah is we consider it to be the head of the year. And it occurs every year on the 1st of Tishri. But unlike our New Year, January 1st, which starts the first day of the first month, Tishri is actually the 7th month of the year of the Jewish calendar. And so, isn't that strange that Rosh Hashanah begins not at the beginning of the year, but begins on the 7th month? And so this is actually called the Rosh Hashanah, the year that begins with Rosh Hashanah is actually called the civic year. But then the new year for kings and months is actually the new year that starts with the first day of the first month of the calendar. And that is Nisan. So the Nisan is the first month of the year. And so this ecclesiastical year begins on the 1st of Nisan. And you all know what Nisan is, because that's the month that Passover is in. So those are the 2 big New Years in our Jewish calendar, the ecclesiastical year and the civic year. But there are 2 other New Years. One is the New Year for animals. And except to tell you, just to be complete, that it begins on the 1st of Elul, I'm not going to talk about it very much. I'm going to leave that for a future Friday night when we can talk about this particular New Year. But this is the one that we're at now, the New Year for trees. And that begins, as I said, this year on Sunday night, and it's Tu B'Shavat. Now, Tu just means 15th. So that's the number 15, so that Tu B'Shvat begins on the 15th of Shavat. And what is it? Well, it's the New Year for trees, and that's where all trees become 1 year older, independent of when they were planted. So they may have been planted on the 14th of Shavat, but once the 15th passes, they're 1 year old. Or if a tree was planted 4 or 5 months before, when it crosses 15th of Shavat, it too becomes 1 year old. And why is that important? Because in the tradition is that trees cannot be harvested for the first 3 years of their existence. They have to mature. The 4th year of their existence, any harvest belongs to God. The 5th year, people can take advantage of the trees. So therefore, it's very important to know how old the trees are. And so that by having one particular day, which determines how old the trees are, you can specifically say, yeah, this tree is 2 years old, or 3 years old, or 4 years old, so there's no guesswork involved. And so that's a credit to our forebears to have solved that particular problem for us. So anyway, Tu B'Shvat does begin this Sunday night, and just as an aside, there's a Seder on Tu B'Shvat, and it's sort of similar in a way to our Passover Seders. People are around the table, they're eating all sorts of fruits, and they're drinking 4 cups of wine. Now, interestingly, the first cup of wine is usually white wine, and that represents the winter. The 4th cup of wine is red wine, which represents the spring. The 2 intervening cups of wine are white, to which red has been added, so it's becoming redder and redder until the 4th cup, which is only red wine. So sort of interesting, isn't it? Anyway, that's the minor holiday that begins this coming Sunday night. So now we're almost finished with the service. So we're going to turn to page 56 for the Aleinu, and we're going to postpone the Kiddush and the Chamotzi until we've actually finished this part of the service. But we will, hopefully you all have a cup of wine or grape juice and a piece of bread so that we can do the Kiddush and the Chamotzi together. So the Aleinu is on page 56. Aleinu l'shabeh Adon hakol latet gedula liyotzeh bereshit shelo asanu kukuye haratzot v'lo samanu kimishvakot adama shelo sam helkenu kahem v'gohor aleinu kekol hamonam v'anachnu korim umishtachavim umodim lifnei melech malchei hamlachim hakadosh baruch hu shehu noteh shamayim v'yosed aretz umoshe yikaro b'shamayim mimal ushkinatu zo begab he meromim hu Eloheinu ein od emet malkeinu efezulato kakatu betorato viadata hayom v'hashebota el bavacha ki Adonai hu Elohim b'shamayim mimal V'al haaretz mitachat ein od. Kakatu b'toratecha Adonai yimloch le'olam va'ed v'nehema v'haya Adonai l'melech al kol haaretz bayom hahu yeh Adonai echad Ushemo echad. Be seated, and this is the 13th, for the 13th, the coming week, 13th and 19th of Shabbat. We commemorate the following Yortzites: Paula Lubell, Helen Wider Bloom, Rabbi Leopold Gutel, Reuben Lubell, Bernice Rosner, Florence Bloom Gaynor, Shirley Weinstein, Esther Preston, Julius Alvin Arian, Dora Weinstein, Bunny Liebeskind, Ray Novak, Leon Gross, Harris Olensky, Dorothy Block Paulin, Joseph Schnitzer, Manuel Segal, Dara Davidoff Brown, Jules Cohen, John Stern, and we note the recent passing, Linda Haskins, Bernie Malkov, and Jason Young. If there are at home, if there are any others, please just shout it out. And the Mourner's Kaddish is found on page 58. Yitkadal v'yitkadash shemei rabbah, bialma dibra kirute v'yamlich malkute, b'chayekon u'byomechon u'bchaye dekol beit Yisrael, ba'agala u'bizban karib v'imru amen. Yehei shemei rabbah mebarach le'alam u'lalmei almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitfa'ar v'yitwaman v'yitnaseh v'yitadar v'yitalev v'yitalal shemei dekudisha berichu le'ela min kol b'yachata v'shirata tushbchata v'nehemata damiran b'yalma v'imru amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya v'chayim aleinu v'yal kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom bimromav, hu yaseh shalom, aleinu v'yal kol Yisrael v'imru amen. And peace to all who mourn. A few announcements. Actually, there were very few announcements. There will be Shabbat morning service tomorrow morning, 10 a.m., and the Havdalah service tomorrow evening at 7 p.m. No Sunday school on Sunday, no Tanakh study on Monday, which is Martin Luther King Day, but that's not reason why there's no Tanakh. It's the rabbi's not here. No adult Hebrew class, no spirit on Tuesday, and the rabbi will be back towards the end of next week, and there will be Friday night service next Friday, led by the rabbi. And also don't forget that the Jewish Film Festival is now ongoing, and so there are many films. There are 8 films, all of which you can watch at your leisure online, because there's no in-person films being shown this year, and we certainly hope that next year we can get back to in-person films. So I'd like to conclude this part of the service with Yehuda singing "What I Am Fighting For."
What I'm fighting for is worth far more than silver and gold. What I'm fighting for is a chance to unite the past. When our brothers coming home at last, fighting together for life. To Zion we roam, and we're not all alone. Unite and purify. What I'm fighting for is worth far more than silver and gold. What I'm fighting for is a chance to unite the past. When our brothers coming home at last, fighting together for life. Sons and daughters of Abraham, laid down to a higher command. Don't be tricked by the acts of man. God God's wisdom revealed in a holy plan, a chance to unite the past. When brothers coming home at last, fighting together for life. To Zion we roam, and we're not all alone. Unite and purify. What I'm fighting for is worth far more than silver and gold. What I'm fighting for is a chance to unite the past. When brothers coming home at last, fighting together for life. What I'm fighting for is worth far more than silver and gold. What I'm fighting for is a chance to unite the past. When brothers coming home at last, fighting together for life. What I'm fighting for.
I now invite you all to take your wine or grape juice and also your piece of bread for the chamotzi, and in just a few seconds we'll do the kiddush, which is on page 55. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kidashanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzah banu v'shabbat kodsho b'ahava u'b'ratzon hilanu. Zikaron l'maaseh bereshit, ki hu yom tehila l'mikra kodesh, zekel etziat mitzrayim, ki banu b'harta, v'yotanu kidashta mikol harmim. V'shabbat kodsheka b'ahava u'b'ratzon hinhaltanu. Baruch atah Adonai mikadesh haShabbat. And now we take a piece of bread, challah. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Shabbat shalom, and thank you for joining us.